The bell above the door jingled as Elias Vega flipped the sign to closed. Another day of fixing broken instruments, vintage electronics, and the occasional antique clock had come to an end. Tucked away on a quiet street in Alameda, Precision Revival wasn't just a repair shop, it was Elias' sanctuary, a place where his unique talents transformed the damaged into the renewed. He was about to lock up when he noticed it. A small package wrapped in a material he couldn't identify. It shimmered like oil on water but felt like nothing he'd ever touched, somehow both solid and fluid beneath his fingertips. Strange, he muttered, turning it over to find no shipping label or return address. Very strange. The package was surprisingly warm, pulsating with a faint vibration that seemed to resonate with his own heartbeat. Curiosity piqued, Elias carried it to his workbench, clearing away the day's projects. Under the bright lamp, the wrapping dispersed like morning mist, revealing an object unlike anything he'd ever seen. It resembled a handheld device with crystalline components arranged in complex geometric patterns. At its center sat what appeared to be a fractured prism that emitted a soft, pulsing glow. The craftsmanship was extraordinary, microscopic circuits intertwined with materials he couldn't identify, all damaged but still beautiful. Fascinating engineering, Elias whispered, reaching for his specialized tools. As his fingers grazed the surface, the device hummed to life, projecting a wavering holographic image above it. A feminine figure materialized, tall and graceful with skin that reflected light like mother of pearl. Her eyes, three of them, were deep violet with pupils that shifted like galaxies in motion. "Greetings," she said, her voice melodic yet clearly artificial. "This is an automated distress message from diplomatic envoy Nea of the Celestial Convergence. If you have recovered this communications array, please assist. Coordinates follow." The hologram flickered and died, leaving coordinates floating in the air before fading away. Elias committed them to memory. They pointed to a location not far from his shop, in the wooded area near the old observatory. Without thinking twice, Elias grabbed his emergency toolkit and jacket. Something in that voice, even automated, stirred a response he couldn't explain. 20 minutes later, he found himself hiking up a secluded trail as twilight settled over the landscape. The coordinates led to a small clearing where the air felt charged with static electricity. There, partially concealed by ferns and fallen leaves, lay a woman, no, not a woman. Her pearlescent skin glowed faintly in the dimming light. She was unconscious but breathing in slow, shallow intervals. "Nea," Elias ventured, kneeling beside her. At the sound of her name, her eyes fluttered open, three striking violet orbs that fixed on him with startling intensity. "You found my resonator," she said, her voice now rich and warm, unlike the recording. "You understood my message." Elias nodded, helping her to sit up. "I'm Elias. I repair things. Your device is damaged, but I think I can fix it." "A fortuitous alignment," Nea replied, her lips curving into a smile that revealed teeth like polished opals. "I am stranded here until my vessel recovers from its journey. My communications array is essential. It connects me to my people." She reached out, her long fingers touching his wrist lightly. "In return for your assistance, Elias of Earth, I offer knowledge. My kind are travelers and collectors of cosmic wisdom." Their eyes met, and Elias felt something inexplicable pass between them, a current of understanding that transcended language. For the first time in years, he felt truly seen by another being. "Let's get you somewhere safe," he said, offering his hand, "and then we'll see about fixing your device." As they walked back toward civilization under the emerging stars, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that his carefully ordered life had just been irreversibly altered, and perhaps for the better. Morning light streamed through the windows of Elias' apartment above his shop, casting prisms across the workbench where Nea's device lay partially disassembled. 3 days had passed since their first encounter, and Elias had barely slept, captivated by both the alien technology and its owner. Nea stood by the window, her pearl-like skin absorbing and refracting the sunlight. She had changed into clothes Elias had provided, a simple black shirt and jeans that somehow looked otherworldly on her tall, lithe frame. "The resonator functions on principles similar to quantum entanglement," she explained, approaching the workbench. "It allows instantaneous communication across vast distances by manipulating cosmic frequencies." Elias nodded, carefully extracting a damaged crystal component with specialized tweezers. "Like our radio waves, but operating on a dimensional level we haven't mastered yet." "Precisely," Nea smiled, her three violet eyes blinking in an alternating pattern that Elias had come to recognize as approval. "Your understanding is remarkably quick for someone from a pre-convergent civilization." Their fingers brushed as she reached to point out a particular circuit pathway, and Elias felt that now familiar electric sensation. It was more than static. a connection that seemed to bypass physical contact and speak directly to his nervous system. "Your people don't touch often?" he asked, noticing how she lingered before pulling away. "We communicate primarily through thought and frequency, not physical interaction," she replied. "Touch is intimate, reserved for those who share deep connections." She paused, studying his face. "Your species relies heavily on physical contact. It's fascinating." Elias swallowed hard, returning his attention to the delicate work. "We're still evolving," he said simply. As evening approached, Elias' eyelids grew heavy. He'd worked through another day, making significant progress on the repairs. The fractured prism at the device's core had been the most challenging aspect. It required precision he'd never before attempted. "You must rest," Nea insisted, gently taking the tool from his hand. Her touch lingered longer this time, and Elias noticed a slight iridescent flush across her cheeks. "Your consciousness requires cyclical rejuvenation." "Sleep," Elias corrected with a tired smile. "And yes, I should probably get some." That night his dreams were vivid and strange. Constellations he'd never seen, worlds with impossible landscapes, and throughout it all Nea's presence, somehow both physically and mentally entwined with his consciousness. He woke gasping, his body tingling with residual sensations. Nea sat cross-legged on the floor beside his bed, her eyes closed in what appeared to be meditation. They opened as he stirred, all three fixing on him with concern. "You experienced dreamwalking," she said softly. "My apologies. As I recover my strength, my consciousness sometimes reaches outward during rest cycles." Elias sat up, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "You were in my dreams." "Not intentionally," she explained, rising gracefully to sit beside him on the bed. "My species shares dreams with compatible minds. It seems yours is receptive to mine." The implications hung between them, unspoken but palpable. Elias found himself drawn to her, not just physically, but on some deeper level he couldn't articulate. "What happens when the device is fixed?" he asked, suddenly afraid of the answer. "Will you leave right away?" Nea's gaze softened. "My mission requires completion, but temporal parameters are flexible." Her hand found his in the darkness. "There is much I would learn about your world, about you, Elias Vega." The next day brought a breakthrough. After replacing the final crystal component with a modified quartz substitute, the closest Earth material with compatible properties, the device hummed to life. Its core glowed with an ethereal blue light, casting complex geometric shadows across the workshop. "Remarkable craftsmanship," Nea whispered, watching as Elias made final adjustments. "You've accomplished what should have been impossible with your planet's technology." Elias shrugged, hiding his pride. "I've always had a knack for understanding how things connect, how they're meant to work together." "Perhaps that extends beyond devices," Nea suggested, her third eye focusing on him while the others examined the resonator. When she placed her hand over his, the device pulsed brighter, as if responding to their combined touch. "What's happening?" Elias asked, mesmerized by the patterns of light now dancing across the room. "The resonator recognizes compatible frequencies," Nea explained, her voice carrying a note of wonder. "It seems to have calibrated itself to both of us." As the light washed over them, Elias felt the boundaries of his consciousness begin to blur, melding with something vast and beautiful that called to him from across the stars. "Focus on the third harmonic," Nea instructed, her voice barely above a whisper as she sat cross-legged opposite Elias on the workshop floor. Between them, the repaired resonator pulsed with gentle waves of azure light. "Imagine the frequency as a path your consciousness can follow." A week had passed since the device had first responded to their combined touch. What began as accidental connection had evolved into deliberate practice as Nea taught Elias to access the cosmic frequencies her people used for communication. Elias closed his eyes, concentrating on the vibration he could feel more than hear, a resonance that seemed to exist at the threshold of his perception. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he strained to maintain focus. "Don't pursue it," Nea corrected softly. Her cool fingers touched his temples. "Allow it to flow through you. Your mind is like one of your instruments. It must be perfectly tuned to receive the signal." Exhaling slowly, Elias released his conscious effort, surrendering to the subtle vibration. Suddenly, like breaking through an invisible membrane, his awareness expanded. Colors he had no names for bloomed behind his eyelids, and emotions not his own washed through him, wonder, curiosity, and something deeper, more intimate. "Nea," he thought, not speaking aloud. "Yes, Elias." Her mental voice was richer than her spoken one, layered with harmonics impossible for human vocal cords to produce. "You've accessed the frequency. Our minds are in communion." The sensation was unlike anything he had experienced, more profound than touch, more intimate than conversation. He could sense the vast structure of her consciousness, ancient knowledge interwoven with personal memories. At the edges of this mental landscape, he glimpsed other presences, distant yet connected, her people, linked through the same cosmic network. This is how you communicate across space, he realized, the thought forming between them like a shared discovery. Yes, distance is irrelevant when consciousness resonates at compatible frequencies. Her mental touch guided him, showing him how to navigate this new realm of perception. Your species possesses the capacity but lacks the training. You are the first human to access the frequency successfully. When they finally disengaged, night had fallen. Elias felt physically exhausted but mentally exhilarated. His body trembled slightly as neural pathways adjusted to their new configurations. He searched for words and found language suddenly inadequate. I know, Naya replied simply, reaching out to steady him. In the dim light, her pearlescent skin seemed to glow from within, pulsing with the same rhythm as his heartbeat. The resonator between them had grown quiet, its purpose fulfilled. They no longer needed its assistance to connect. Is it always so intimate? Elias asked, voice hoarse. No, Naya's three eyes regarded him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. What we experienced was uncommon. Most connections are purely informational. This was something more. She moved closer, her tall frame graceful despite the confines of his cluttered workshop. There is a phenomenon my people call frequency alignment, when two consciousnesses naturally harmonize. It is rare, even among my kind. And between different species. Unprecedented, she whispered, now close enough that he could feel her breath against his skin. Until now. That night their connection deepened beyond words or thought. Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory, her lips cool and slightly metallic against his. But as their minds synchronized through the frequency, they now shared physical sensations amplified. Each touch created cascading echoes of pleasure that reverberated between them, multiplying as they learned each other's bodies. Naya's skin changed beneath his fingers, sometimes solid, sometimes almost liquid, always responsive. The patterns of light that normally danced beneath her surface intensified, tracing the paths where his hands and lips had been. When they finally came together completely, the boundaries between them, physical and mental, dissolved entirely, and for breathless moments, Elias couldn't tell where he ended and she began. Afterward, they lay entwined in the darkness, still connected through the frequency even as their bodies separated. I never imagined finding someone like you, Elias thought, the words forming in the shared space between their minds. Nor I you, she responded, her mental voice tinged with both joy and something like sorrow. My people search lifetimes for such alignment. A shadow passed through her thoughts, something she wasn't sharing completely. Before Elias could question it, she gently withdrew from his mind, returning to verbal communication. There is more I must tell you about the resonator, she said, her physical voice sounding strangely flat after the richness of their mental exchange. Its purpose is not what you believe. Elias propped himself up on one elbow, studying her face in the moonlight streaming through the window. What do you mean? Tomorrow, she promised, pulling him back down beside her. For now, let us remain in this moment. But as sleep claimed him, Elias felt a lingering unease. In their shared mental space, he had glimpsed something about the device, its true nature and purpose, that Naya was still concealing. Something that would change everything between them. Morning arrived with the soft patter of rain against the windows. Elias woke alone, momentarily disoriented until he caught the subtle scent of ozone and starlight that seemed to follow Naya everywhere. Following the sound of movement, he found her in the workshop, the resonator hovering between her palms, its light pulsing in complex patterns he now recognized as language. You said we needed to talk, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Naya turned, her three eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his heart stutter. In daylight, the ethereal quality of her beauty was even more apparent, her pearlescent skin shifting with subtle iridescence, her features both alien and impossibly perfect. The resonator is not merely a communication device, she began, gesturing for him to sit. It is what my people call a soul vessel, a repository of collective memory and experience. Elias took a seat across from her, the intimacy of the previous night still humming between them like a plucked string. I don't understand. My civilization is ancient, Elias. We have traversed the cosmos for millennia, gathering knowledge, experiences, and frequencies from countless worlds. She placed the resonator between them on the workbench. These vessels contain the essence of those experiences, the collective consciousness of my people concentrated into crystalline form. Like a library, Elias suggested, trying to grasp the concept. More intimate than that. Naya touched the device gently, and it responded by projecting a spectral light show across the room. Constellations and galaxies swirled around them. It contains not just information but experience, emotion, memory, the very soul frequencies of my ancestors and contemporaries who contributed to it. Understanding dawned slowly, bringing with it implications that made Elias' breath catch. And I've been connected to it, through you. Yes, Nea's expression carried both tenderness and concern. When you repaired the resonator, you did more than fix a broken device. You synchronized your own frequency with it, and with me, we are now entangled. The word hung between them, laden with meaning beyond its scientific connotation. Elias felt a strange mixture of wonder and apprehension coiling in his chest. Is that why we can communicate telepathically, why I feel this connection to you? Partly, she admitted, moving closer until their knees touched. But the alignment of our frequencies, that is rare and precious. It happened because there was already compatibility between us. The resonator merely facilitated what was possible. She took his hands in hers, and immediately the connection between them flared to life, thoughts, emotions, and sensations flowing freely between their minds. The intensity of it made Elias gasp. What does this mean for us? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. Nea's mental presence enveloped his, warm and intimate. It means I cannot leave without causing us both tremendous pain. The severing of such a bond would be traumatic. You were planning to leave. The thought sent a spike of panic through him that he knew she could feel. My mission requires that I return to my people eventually, she said aloud, her voice gentle. I am a collector of experiences, a diplomat who seeks new frequencies to add to our collective knowledge. But now. She trailed off, her third eye blinking rapidly, a sign of emotional distress he'd come to recognize. Now I am bound to you in ways I did not anticipate, her thoughts continued. And you to me. The implications settled over Elias like a weight. You never meant for this to happen. No, she admitted, but I do not regret it. To prove her point, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. The kiss deepened quickly, their shared mental connection amplifying every sensation. Clothes were discarded as they made their way back to the bedroom, their bodies coming together with urgent need. This time, their lovemaking transcended even their previous connection. As physical pleasure built between them, Elias felt himself drawn deeper into Nea's consciousness, glimpsing the vastness of her experiences across worlds he could barely comprehend. Stars exploded behind his eyelids as they reached climax simultaneously, their minds and bodies unified in a moment of perfect harmony. Afterward, lying breathless in each other's arms, Elias finally asked the question that had been forming since their conversation began. What happens now? Nea traced patterns on his chest, her fingers leaving trails of soft light on his skin. I must complete my mission by returning the resonator to my people, but our connection, it changes everything. She sat up, her expression serious but tender. There are two possibilities, Elias. You could come with me, leave Earth and travel among the stars. Your unique frequency would be invaluable to my people. We could remain together, exploring the cosmos. The offer stole his breath, and the other option. I could leave the resonator with you, or at least a portion of it. Her eyes met his, all three focused intently. It would maintain our connection across the void between our worlds. You would become a frequency anchor for my eventual return. An ambassador, Elias murmured, understanding the significance. The first of your kind, she confirmed. A bridge between Earth and the celestial convergence. Outside, the rain had stopped, and sunlight broke through the clouds, casting rainbow prisms across their entwined bodies. The choice before him seemed impossible. Leave everything he knew for love among the stars, or remain earthbound but connected to something beyond his world's understanding. How long do I have to decide? He asked. Nea's lips curved into a smile that held both joy and sadness. The cosmic tides shift in 3 days. I must depart then, with or without you. Her hand found his, fingers interlacing. Through their touch, he felt the depth of her hope, her fear, and most powerfully, her love, an emotion that transcended species and worlds. Whatever you choose, she whispered, part of me will always remain with you, Elias Vega. Our frequencies have become one. The observatory clearing shimmered with unearthly light as midnight approached on the third day. Elias stood beside Nea, the resonator cradled between them, its crystalline structure now fully restored and pulsing with vibrant energy that cast them both in ethereal blue. It's beautiful, he said, watching as the light responded to their combined touch, dancing between their fingers like liquid starlight. Around them, the air crackled with potential energy. The cosmic tides Nea had spoken of reaching their peak. Above, the stars seemed unusually bright, particularly a cluster that Elias now knew was where Nea's people made their home. Have you decided? Nea asked, her voice soft but urgent. Her three violet eyes searched his face, all focused intently on him, an expression he'd learned indicated deep emotional investment among her kind. The past 3 days had been a blur of preparation and contemplation. By day, Elias had put his affairs in order, arranging for the shop to be maintained in his absence, saying subtle goodbyes to friends without revealing his true destination. By night, he and Nea had shared their bodies and minds completely, each communion deepening their connection until Elias could feel her presence even when they were physically apart. I have, he replied, reaching up to trace the luminescent patterns on her cheek. Her skin responded to his touch, rippling with light that matched his heartbeat. The decision had come to him that morning as he watched the sunrise from his workshop window. For all his longing to explore the cosmos with Nea, to see the wonders she had described in their shared thoughts, something held him back, a responsibility he couldn't articulate until that moment. I'm staying, Nea. Pain flashed across her features, quickly masked. You choose your world over ours. No, Elias said firmly, taking her hands in his. I choose to be the bridge between worlds. Your people send emissaries to collect experiences to build understanding across the cosmos. Earth needs someone to receive that knowledge to prepare humanity for what lies beyond our atmosphere. Understanding dawned in her eyes, the anchor frequency. Yes, he nodded, squeezing her hands. If I leave, I'm just one human experiencing the stars. If I stay connected to you through the resonator. You become Earth's first cosmic ambassador, she finished, her third eye blinking rapidly with emotion. The resonator pulsed brighter between them, responding to their shared realization. Nea carefully separated a small crystalline fragment from its outer shell, a process she had been preparing for since he'd made his decision known. This contains a portion of the collective consciousness, she explained, pressing it into his palm, enough to maintain our connection across the void. As his fingers closed around it, the crystal seemed to melt into his skin, not painfully but with a warm sensation of integration. Elias gasped as new awareness flooded his consciousness, star maps, languages, cultural memories from dozens of worlds, all filtering through his mind like water through sand, leaving behind only what his human brain could comprehend. I feel everything, he whispered, overwhelmed by the expansion of his perception. Nea smiled, the expression bittersweet, only a fraction beloved but enough. She stepped closer, her tall frame enfolding him as their lips met in a kiss that transcended physical sensation. Their minds merged completely through the resonator's frequency, memories and emotions flowing between them like twin rivers joining. I will return, her thoughts promised. This is not goodbye, merely a temporary physical separation. Our frequencies remain aligned across any distance. I'll be waiting, he responded, holding her tighter. How long? Time flows differently across the cosmos. Perhaps seasons by your reckoning, perhaps years. Her mental touch caressed his consciousness, but never doubt that I will come back to you, Elias Vega. Around them, the air began to shimmer more intensely. The cosmic tide was cresting, opening a pathway through space-time that would carry Nea home. She reluctantly pulled away, her physical form already beginning to shimmer with translucence. Wait, Elias said suddenly, remembering something crucial. Your mission, the experiences you were meant to collect from Earth, did you get what you came for? Nea's smile deepened, her eyes luminous with emotion. I came seeking knowledge of your world. I found something far more precious. Her hand pressed against his chest above his heart. This, what exists between us, it is unprecedented in my people's vast collection of experiences. The resonator now carries the frequency of human love. Her form grew increasingly transparent as the cosmic doorway opened fully. Share what I have taught you, Elias. Prepare your people. When I return, it will not be alone. I love you, he said simply, the words inadequate but necessary. And I love you, her thoughts replied as her physical form dissolved into light. Beyond stars, beyond time, our frequencies remain one. The resonator rose from between them, hovering momentarily before accompanying her into the portal. In the last instant before they vanished completely, Elias felt a final surge of connection, a promise encoded into the very fabric of his consciousness. Then they were gone, the clearing suddenly ordinary again except for the fragment of crystal now permanently bonded to Elias' palm, pulsing gently with his heartbeat. He stood alone under the stars but not lonely. When he closed his eyes and focused on the frequency now woven into his being, he could sense her distant but present, traveling through the vastness of space but still connected to him. 6 months later, Elias sat in his workshop, the space now transformed into a research center filled with equipment he designed based on the knowledge shared through his connection with Nea. On his palm, the crystalline integration point glowed softly as he focused on the cosmic frequency, sending his daily transmission. Progress continues, he thought into the void. The first prototype translator is working. A small group of scientists now understands the basics of frequency communication. Humanity is taking its first steps toward cosmic awareness. From across the stars came the familiar touch of Nea's consciousness against his, faint but unmistakable. No words, just the sense of approval and affection that needed no translation. Elias smiled, opening his eyes to gaze through the window at the night sky. Somewhere among those distant points of light, Nea was sharing their story with her people, preparing them for increased contact with Earth. And here, grounded on his home planet, Elias was doing the same, building the foundation for a bridge between worlds. The crystal in his palm pulsed with renewed energy, and he felt the familiar warmth of their connection strengthening momentarily. Their frequencies had permanently aligned, transcending the physical limitations of species in space. What had begun as a simple repair had evolved into something far more profound, a cosmic exchange that would ultimately transform two civilizations. Beyond stars, he thought, the phrase now a mantra between them, and across the void of space her consciousness answered. Beyond stars, my love, our frequencies remain one.